Let's welcome up Pastor Adonia.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right. Oh, it's so wonderful to see all of you, and isn't it a beautiful day outside? Thursday and Friday was really mucky. I don't know, I'm from Missouri, and so when we have an inch of snow on the ground, there's no school. You know, we have these little gravel roads, and the school buses have to go down these hills and around these curves. So if there's snow, there's a snow day. And here, you know, I'm driving to pick up the kids, and there's, you know, half an inch of slush on the street, and people are sliding off, and there's no snow day. So I just didn't take these kids to school on Friday. I was like, I'm calling my own snow day. But I'm happy for the beautiful sunshine again, and that's one thing I really love about Colorado is that the sun always comes out and warms everything up again soon. So I wanted to talk a bit about give and take today. The last time I gave a service was on dual characteristics, and I thought I really like this, just going back to the principle and taking a look at each one of these concepts and finding perhaps a new perspective or a new application that maybe we don't have in the forefront of our mind in our day-to-day life. So I looked into the principle, and I pulled out a few passages about what give and take is and why it works. So I'm going to just start off by asking, you know, what is give and take? Through the agency of universal prime energy, the subject and object elements of every entity form a common base and enter into interaction. This interaction, in turn, generates all the forces the entity needs for existence, multiplication, and action. The interaction generating these forces through this process is called give and take action. So everything in the universe is based on this simple action, this simple relationship from, you know, atomic particles to the planets in the solar system. In the principle, it goes through all the different levels of these and describes how you know, the give and take action between the positive and negative subatomic particles, you know, create a relationship and create matter and create electricity. And it said something about this is necessary for all electrical phenomena, which was very real to me this week because our heater went out. And I don't appreciate how electrical phenomena works until your heater goes out and it's 5 degrees outside. So I was like, yes, electrical phenomena. Yeah, that's really good. And then it goes into plants and how there's and the relationship between plants and animals and how the plants absorb the carbon dioxide and release the oxygen. The animals take in the oxygen, release carbon dioxide, and how we have all these systems within us that sustain our existence and allow us to act and to multiply. And then it comes up to human beings. So I want to share this part. The human body maintains its life through the give and take actions between arteries and veins, inhalation and exhalation, sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, and so forth. The give and take action between mind and body enables an individual to carry out activities which further the purpose of life. And then, this is the next passage. It goes on to say, the give and take between husband and wife in a family, among people in a society, between the government and citizens in a nation, and among the nations of the world are essential for them to live together in harmony and peace. And then I think, well, okay, but I don't really see this harmony and peace that we're talking about here. So there's a breakdown when it comes to this give and take relationship among people. Notice that all these other aspects of give and take occur naturally without animals or people or atoms having to think about it. They contain these dual characteristics, these opposite yet complementary aspects, which naturally come into relationship. So all these other relationships just occur naturally as God created them to. But we, as human beings, in order to grow, have our responsibility. We have our own work to do. And initially, I think, gosh, why can't we just be like the animals? Or why can't we just be like the plants? It would just be so much simpler. But that's not what God created us for. To really stand as God's children, we can't be like robots, programmed to give and receive love. We can't be programmed to have to always know the right thing to say to the right people at the right times. We really have to choose it. We have to understand our role, and we have to make it happen ourselves. It's our responsibility, but it's also our blessing in order to be able to really come into the position of God's children, really be in a relationship with God. So, really that's, if we were to look at the world as in an ideal sense, without having gone through the fall or anything, I feel like that this would also be a very normal and natural thing to do. Of course, we have to make effort, but we would very naturally, we would grow up in families of love, experiencing the giving of love of our parents, and we would just naturally return that beauty and love back to them. And then growing up in that kind of love, of course, when we entered into a marriage relationship, that we would bring that same experience of love that we had experienced all our life, and it would just be expressed to our spouse. It would just naturally flow, to our children. I think it's such a beautiful ideal that God has for us. We wouldn't even think about it. It would just do it as a result of our life experience. However, as we know, that's not necessarily the case. So, but there's an explanation. Oh, there we go. The human fall, in essence, severed our relationship with God. Rather than attaining oneness with God, our ancestors joined in a reciprocal relationship with Satan, thereby becoming one with him. So our first human ancestors didn't fully grasp this ideal and this vision and the excitement of what was waiting for them, and instead created a give and take relationship centered on Satan and centered really on themselves. And then due to this first, basically misguided give and take, our relationships have become so tainted. So rather than centering on God, we form common bases with people centering on just on each other, or on ourselves, our wants and desires. And then when we want to create a relationship centered on God, when we want to bring God into our families, we want to bring God into our life, we want to bring God into our communities and our cities and our nation, we find it so hard. When we want, maybe we feel like we've been kind of distant from our spouse. We want to create a new type of give and take. We want to bring God into that. Sometimes we feel awkward, or we get stuck. We don't know what to say. We don't know how to create that. I have a very good example of this. I was working on this service last night. I knew this is what I was going to be talking about, and I had pretty much had my outline done and, figured out what I was going to talk about. And I was getting really tired, so I was like, oh, I better just go to bed and finish this up in the morning. But I could tell that Mike is very honest, and he doesn't hide his emotions very well. So although I had been kind of trying not to acknowledge it, I knew that he had something going on. I could see that he was frustrated about something, not very happy about something, and so I got up and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. But I couldn't just walk to the bedroom and go lie down. I was like, okay, Mike, what's going on? How are you feeling? And that just brought up a whole bunch of stuff. And it was like, oh, I kind of actually really just don't want to deal with this right now. I just want to go to bed so I can get up early and I can finish my sermon and it will all go well. And I almost turned to go back to bed, but then I was like, I won't be able to sleep like this. I can't in good conscience go to sleep and try to give a service, a message of God's love and give and take when I don't want to have give and take with my husband. So we sat down and we spent about 2 hours, talking about it. And we didn't go to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was really worth it. Really what it came down to was that both of us felt that, we know that we're both working hard. I know that I'm working hard. He knows that he's working hard. And we know that each other are working hard. But we don't always acknowledge each other for the effort and the investment that we're making to make our family work, to make our community work, to have things run smoothly, to make progress. And both of us, honestly, were feeling a little lack of love, feeling a little underappreciated. And it was just like the perfect example of what happens when you don't have a good give and take relationship, when you're looking for the receiving end, but you don't want to give the giving end. So it just brought all of this really home for me last night, and I have a few quotes from the Bible that kind of illustrate really, what is give and take and what is giving and receiving. This is from 2 Corinthians 9, verses 6 through 7. The point is this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. If I don't thank Mike for the work he's going to do, I'm probably not going to get much appreciation back. And whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And then there's this one from Proverbs 11, verses 24-25. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and the one who waters will himself be watered. I feel like those are really beautiful expressions that just show the what it looks like when you're in a reciprocal relationship. It's really not giving and taking, it's giving and receiving. And one can't happen without the other, really. So then I thought, well, is give and take between me and my husband all that it is? Is that all it really takes, to create a harmonious family and to create a harmonious community? I think it is, but at the same time, there's another level. There's a more, I'm searching for words today. There's a more, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. There's a more fundamental relationship of give and take that needs to happen before we can successfully create these reciprocal relationships in our families and in our communities, in our nations, in our world. Thank you. And that fundamental relationship of give and take has to happen within ourselves. I have this quote. This is from True Father, and I really love this quote. It's a little bit long, but try to stick with it. The problem lies within the self, not within society. If there is a problem in my family, it is not because my elder brother is bad, my elder sister is bad, or my father is bad. It is because I am bad. I must first attain a certain standard before I can be in a position to criticize the standard of others. Only after attaining unity between my own original mind and my body can I proudly enter the one unified world. If my original mind and my body are divided, how can I participate in a world where everything is harmonized? I would automatically retreat from it. Therefore, I should not allow my body to become my master. I should not allow my body to suppress or ignore my mind, to exhaust or distress. I can be happy only when I control my body and direct it to serve my mind. Then God will come and dwell within me. It is said that family harmony makes all go well. If I want peace in my family and within myself, I need to unite my mind and body. So I know actually for myself, when I hear that, then I think, oh, that's the hard part. Why do I have to start with it? And Father talks so much about uniting our mind and body so that our actions follow the inclinations of our original mind, which always leads us to God. Ultimately, but it does have to start with me. It has to start within myself and my mind and body. There has to be a God-centered give and take within the mind and body in order to initiate God-centered relationships with other people. So, what does this look like? What does this look like in real life? I found that last night, for me, it was simply to say the words that I know needed to be said, and to make my mouth, my body and my mouth, say the words of love. Even if my heart wasn't feeling it in the moment, my emotions aren't always tied to where my original mind knows it should be. But I knew what words needed to be said. And just getting the courage and letting go of my ego enough to say them. That can be mind and body unity. I think that sometimes we think of mind-body unity as this, big unattainable goal that would be really amazing to have, but I don't actually know anybody who has it, so how will I ever be able to do it? But I think that it just starts with one action. One time letting go of our ego and saying the words that need to be said. One time to let go of my tiredness when I want to go to bed. Stay up a little bit longer to serve somebody who needs to be served. And then just doing it one more time. And doing it one more time. Whenever those situations come up where your mind knows what you should be doing and your body doesn't want to do it. And just doing it that one time. I think that if we see it, if we think of, mind-body unity, how will I ever attain mind-body unity? That it can make us feel that we don't even want to try. But if we just tackle the next one, the next situation, without us even realizing it, that will bring our body closer to our original mind. That will lead us in the direction that we need to go. And sometimes those simple things will make such a big difference. I can't tell you how much better I felt this morning than if I hadn't stopped and made my mouth say, what's going on? How are we doing? What do we need to do? If I had just ignored my original mind and said, I'm tired, that's it, we'll deal with this another time, then I would probably still be up here giving this service, but I wouldn't be giving it very confidently. But just sometimes the smallest change, the smallest act of letting go of our self and what we want and our bodily desires can have a huge reaction, have a huge effect in our life. So never underestimate the power of our mind and the power of being able to take one action to unite our body with our mind. So I don't know where you're at. I know everybody has their life. Each life is so complex. Everybody's got their own individual situations. Everybody has their own place in their life. Everybody's working to restore certain kinds of things. So I don't know what it is for you. But I think that if you sit in quiet for a couple minutes, you can find out what that is for you. You can find out what is that next step for me. Maybe you don't know how to tackle the whole situation. Maybe you don't know how to, create this loving relationship with your spouse, or we don't know how to reconnect with our kids because it's been so many years. Or we don't know how to bring the kind of financial external success that we want. But I bet you can find out what the first step would be. I bet you can find out what the first thing you need to say is, the first action you need to take. So start with that and see where it takes you. And the next time something comes up, go with that. So I hope that gives you something to go off of this week. And, when Mike and I became pastors here, I really felt giving services is not something that I'm very excited about. Sometimes I feel like they come out well, and sometimes I feel like they don't. And a lot of the things that kind of come with being pastors are not my passion. But one thing that I am passionate about, and one thing that motivates me to get up here, is that I feel if we can have transformation in our lives, if the families in our community can have experiences of transforming themselves, transforming their lives, if God can touch people and we can find our relationship with God in a new way, then everything is worth it. And I really believe that this is one of those things that we can do that allows God to work in our life in a way that we wouldn't know how he would work. If I were to just say to myself, let's see, what will be the result of me saying, how are you doing? Then my mind would say, well, he'll probably say, I'm fine. But God has a much bigger plan behind that. And sometimes we just need to take the first step. So let's let God into our lives this week. Let's be open to what God wants to give us and how God wants to work. And just take that first step. Crack open that door. Let go of something that our body doesn't want to let go of and unite it with our mind. And that's my message for this week. I hope you have a wonderful week, and God bless.